Welcome back to The Verdict. In honor of April Fool's Day, we'll be discussing some of our favorite comedies, so stay tuned. Hey everyone, my name is Jasmine, and today I'm joined by my co-hosts, Hugh and Mo. The movie I chose was Talladega Knights, the Ballad of Ricky Bobby. The movie stars Will Ferrell, John C. Reilly, and Amy Adams. So let's watch the trailer.
Guys who brought you Anchorman and the 40-year-old virgin.
The doctor told us you can walk.
It's all in your head.
I am so paralyzed. You want to see what my life is?
Don't you stick that knife in your leg.
Oh, man!
Will Ferrell,
Ricky Bobby is not a thinker.
Give me a fastball, twist a line.
What the hell's a fastball?
Oh, no! Give me another.
Ricky Bobby is a driver.
Yeah, it's a real deal down there.
So Will Ferrell is quite famous among, comedy actors. You guys watched this movie, Talladega Nights. How would you rank it compared to some of his other comedy films?
Oh, man. He's been out for so... You know what, to be honest with you, I think what really made this movie just hands down hilarious was not just Will Ferrell's character, but John C. Reilly.
100%.
Them together, that was what just made it top tier right there. It was hilarious. I can watch this movie 10 times over and still crack up every single time.
Oh,
I
yeah.
agree.
I've seen this movie maybe hundreds of times. Some lines of it just never get old. I think this might be the better of. I like this movie better than Step Brothers as far as like Will Ferrell, John C. Reilly combo movies. But they're so good as a team together. And if I were to rank this, I might put this at third of my favorite Will Ferrell movies behind Anchorman and... I don't know. It's a tough list. Will Ferrell's just too iconic. I mean, especially for our generation. I mean, come on. We all grew up with Will Ferrell movies.
Yeah. He definitely is like the Adam Sandler of this generation,
Yeah.
right? Like,
For
you think
sure.
of Adam Sandler, you think of older movies, Adam Sandler movies.
Waterboy,
Happy Gilmore, stuff
Billy
like that.
Madison.
Right.
that was a
I
good
think
one.
we did a Billy Madison movie on here. And, he's iconic in that end, but that's more like 80s, 90s. Then you think of Will Ferrell, you're thinking 2005, 2010s, and so on. And he just kind of fits that. I mean, he's just comedic genius, so.
For sure.
Yeah.
Even him with Mark Wahlberg in Daddy's Home, I feel like is kind of an underrated comedy, but very popular
And the
among our
other
generation.
guys too.
That
might be my second favorite Will Ferrell movie. if
Okay.
I were
And
to
what's
narrow
the
it.
other one that he had where he goes to prison with Kevin Hart?
Oh, Get
Oh
Hard.
my
Get
god,
Hard,
that's a good
yes.
one too.
That's an underrated gem.
Yeah,
honestly.
yeah. It really is. And I think Will Ferrell is so versatile in the film industry. Not only does he act, but he also directs and produces. And he had, early Will Ferrell had all those shorts. He used to do shorts.
Oh, yeah, on SNL.
Yeah. And he was on SNL. So. I think he just really, really is a great overall comedic actor. He's probably top 10 for me in comedic actors.
I agree. I think the characters that he plays can be so different from each other, but yet he still brings the same lightheartedness and humor to the role, which I really appreciate.
Oh, yeah.
Now with this movie, I felt like, he just kind of played into that country redneck kind of.
Only thought about one thing and one thing ever, and that was racing
Going
auto cars.
fast.
Yeah,
That's
going
all he cared
fast.
about.
Yeah. So I mean, and like you said, out of this movie, there's so many great lines that you could get. I mean, you're talking about shake and bake, woo, daddy, all of them, right? So. I felt like this was a good movie, and I actually rewatched when you said that you're gonna print, this is gonna be. I rewatched it, and I was just like. comedic gold right here.
No, really. So many one-liners, I agree, that just stick with me. And even before I watched this movie, I watched it for the first time when I was 16. You know, there are phrases that I heard here and there that reference that movie. I'm like, wow, like it really is an iconic movie in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, I definitely enjoyed it. And I just want to point out, before we do anything, she went ahead and hit the fit and got her a nice little race car on her shirt.
That's all I represent.
Shake and bake all day, baby.
Shake
So
and bake.
she's hitting it. So
That just happened.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
So, like I said, I think this movie's comedic gold. John C. Reilly, they just kind of go together. You know, there's some actors that just fit well together.
For sure.
And these two are it right there. They did great in Step Brothers. They did great in this movie. I think they were in another movie together. But yeah.
We don't talk about that
Yeah.
one. We don't.
So, but yeah, I thought this was a great movie.
I agree.
Yeah.
Amy Adams was in this movie as well.
Yeah.
She did a
Yeah.
pretty good job. I haven't seen her in a role like that, I don't
Yeah,
believe.
she's not really in any comedies, really. And
No.
I wish kind of that she did more. I mean, she was fantastic just as that little shy, quiet.
Definitely.
You know,
His-
but I felt like she fit that role so well.
She did.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just kind of came. I felt like it came naturally for her. So
Yeah, I really wasn't
I think she
expecting
did
it.
good.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, you know, who doesn't like to talk about baby Jesus? So I mean,
Help me, baby Jesus. Help me, Tom Cruise.
Them at
Help
that
me, Oprah
dining
Winfrey.
table. Oh my
he got his
goodness.
down pack. See, this is the best part about doing comedy movies. We can just be cracking up the whole time because,
yeah.
like, who does? And we picked great movies to do one-liners with.
We'll
so.
be
For
careful
sure.
not to say the lines that we're not allowed to say, though.
Right,
Because
right.
there's so many I want to say from that movie right now.
Right. I have yet to show my kids the movie, but me and my husband absolutely love it. We think it's hilarious. You know, I think it's great. I think it's a great movie. So.
Oh, yeah.
For sure. If you haven't seen it, you should definitely go watch it. Lots of laughs.
I think it's on Hulu.
Yeah.
Yep, on Hulu. So go ahead and watch it. If you have Hulu, watch it on there,
Yeah.
or you know, YouTube.
Yeah.
TV or
You
whatever,
can rent
so-
it or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah,
But
so,
You can find it on the internet somewhere.
yeah.
like most movies these days.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah,
it's such a good
we're gonna
movie.
rate this movie.
Oh, for sure.
All right, let's rate this sucker. Okay.
I mean, before we rate it though, we have to, like, if we're going about like with Will Ferrell movies, I mean, where does this stack up like all time? Because I mean, he sort of has had a long career.
You said for you it's like number 3, right?
Yeah.
I don't know, because I feel like Anchorman was just that was just prime.
Yeah.
I mean, that was just I
Yeah.
mean, it was stupid funny, and I
and it's
enjoyed
a team effort of comedy
Yeah.
powers with
Oh.
Paul Rudd and
Yes.
Ben
Oh,
Stiller
yeah.
even for the brief minute, Vince Vaughn and
Yes. Yeah, and to be honest, Paul Rudd is probably one of my favorite actors also. I mean, I absolutely enjoy him. I think he's an underrated actor. I loved him in all of his movies, especially the movie where he's about to turn 40, or you know what I'm talking about?
This is 40.
yeah.
This
This
is
is
40.
40.
Yeah. I thought that was a great movie, but I don't know. I feel like Anchorman really. I would rank it probably Anchorman and then Talladega Nights. Yeah, I think I would be right there with you too.
Yeah.
Not
I
3, but
agree.
definitely 2.
I agree. It's in my top 2 for his movies as well. And I like especially that, like, you know, some of his movies, comedy movies, can, you know, push that line, maybe get a little crude in a
Oh,
sense.
Yes.
And so I like that this is a little more family friendly. This is something I wouldn't
Yeah.
mind watching with like some of my younger teenage siblings, and I think
Yeah.
they would enjoy it. I think it's good for the whole family.
Yeah.
You know,
Just lots of laughs.
Just to play off of that, I want to say a lot of his stuff does borderline that crude. But you know what? At the end of the day, I feel like we slick all like it. So I
Oh,
mean,
yeah, you know,
like we
that's
can all be
true.
like, you know, but
all of America loves Ricky Bobby. I
they're
mean,
right,
True.
right.
How could you
right.
not?
How
So,
many times at a lunch table were you, as in a high school or middle school, just like, yeah, it's quoting that movie?
yeah. I think this movie came out when again?
2006, I believe.
2006.
Yeah.
I was
Long time
I
ago.
was like a junior in high school. So yeah.
Really? I was 2 years old when this movie came out.
Wow,
I
okay, so
can't
we're
lie.
coming with all the comedy today,
You know?
guys.
So that's wild to
I
think
was in the
about.
middle at about like 8. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, we're gonna move on from there. Let's go ahead and rate this movie.
I think I would give this movie maybe a 9.5.
Oh,
There's
wow.
some parts of this
Oh,
movie.
that is.
There's some parts of this movie that I will watch hundreds of times, and I still keep laughing. Like there's not a lot of Will Ferrell movies even I can say that about, but this is up there as one of them.
I agree.
Yeah.
What about you, Mo? What do you think?
Ooh, 9.5 is kind of high. I would give it for comedy movies. I would give it. Ooh, I'm gonna say a 9. I'm gonna say a solid 9. A solid 9. It's definitely up there. It's hilarious. I think the best thing about this movie and what made it like huge was all the one-liners. Like I honestly, if you could take something away from that movie, it's gonna be the one-liners. You know what I mean? So definitely solid 9. And like I said, I love Will Ferrell. I love John C. Reilly, and I think they just did really great together. And this movie just kind of fit them. So yeah.
I agree.
All right, Jazz.
I'm gonna have to give it a 10 out of 10.
Wow.
I really do. I might be a little
Man.
biased,
A little
but that hospital scene alone.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I showed it. That's the scene that I played for my dad because he doesn't know this movie. And I was like, watch this scene and tell me you're not going to watch this movie.
Right.
He watched the scene and he's sold. He's going to be watching it with his wife and the kids later this week because it was
Nice.
just downright hilarious.
Yeah, it is.
I don't know who came up with that, but amazing writing, amazing acting. Again, such a funny movie. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. But for now, we're going to move on to Hugh's movie.
Well, thank you. The movie that I chose is a comedy, in fact. It is Ghostbusters 1984. The movie stars Bill Murray, Ernie Hudson, and Harold Ramis.
All right, let's watch the trailer.
Ghostbusters.
Hey, anybody see a ghost?
They catch the ghost that won't stay dead. They're armed. They're dangerous.
Try to imagine all life as you know it stopping instantaneously and every molecule in your body exploding at the speed of light.
All right, that's bad. Okay. All right, important safety tip. Thanks, Egan.
So, y'all, as the oldest film on this list today, how do you think this movie held up to nowadays?
Oh man. Okay. So since we've had Ghostbusters, the original, we've had multiple Ghostbusters.
Yes.
I still believe this is the best Ghostbusters.
I agree.
100%. Every time I think of Ghostbusters, my son, when he was like 2 and 3, during Halloween, he heard the Ghostbusters song, and ever since then he like was obsessed with Ghostbusters, and he would always sing, "Who you gonna call? Ghostbusters!" and he would do the whole song and everything every single day. I love this movie. I loved showing it to my kids. It's Bill Murray.
Yeah.
Bill Murray, he is
Bill
comedy. So,
Yeah.
I absolutely love this movie. I think it holds up against all the other Ghostbusters 10 times over. I think this is probably the best Ghostbusters that they have out.
I agree. I do think that, the idea of Ghostbusters, and like you said, even the song lives on now, especially around Halloween time. It really gets stuck in my head. I also think, though, from rewatching it, there are some scenes that might not be as socially acceptable now because so many things have changed since that time. It might not land the same way it did then.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, as far as that goes, absolutely. I mean, and let's just be real honest. You go back and watch a movie from the 80s, like you're watching like Ghostbusters or like a scary movie like Children of the Corn or something.
Yeah.
It just doesn't hit the same. Like it,
No,
just like the technology that they had back then, the equipment that they were using. It's just kind of like,
That's a good point that you make about the
Yeah.
equipment. Some of the effects in this movie
Definitely.
are really outdated. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like when the dog is running out chasing the guy from the other apartment through the woods across the and he's crossing that street at the beginning going it's like, it's
a little cringy, to be honest.
Yeah. It's like, man, is it the 21st century nice with its effects? But
Yeah.
I totally agree. Like, there's something nostalgic about it, but then there's also like they could have done it a lot better. But
For the time, though, I do think it was quite advanced.
Oh, yes,
oh yeah,
definitely.
yeah. I mean, you're talking about getting slime, and I mean, there's a lot of effects that went into this movie.
Yeah,
and,
the practical effects, I believe, are really good.
I mean, overall, like you said, I think for its time, it was pretty on par of effects and using the equipment that they had. I mean, I think they did really well.
Yeah.
And I think just overall the storyline. I mean, I feel like up until then, there wasn't really just like a real scary comedy movie.
Yeah.
I mean, you think of like I can't think of the guy's name, but he did like Frankenstein, and he made it funny and stuff like that.
Young Frankenstein.
Yeah. But even then, there's not a lot of comedic scary movies, and I think this was. It wasn't so much scary, but it was still kind of,
I agree. I mean, based off of that point, what kind of trends do you think this movie set in terms of comedy horrors after it?
Oh, I mean, there's a vast amount. I mean, I feel like we have all of Scary Movie. I think that I think that just kind of really just sets the when I think of scary funny, I think of Scary Movie and all all of them. I think there's like 4 of them, and I think those are similar in the sense of Ghostbusters kind of made that easier for them to kind of get into that genre of movie types. So. Yeah.
I also feel like it sort of set a new trend for movies too, because action movies a lot of times in like the 70s and 80s were a lot more like, yeah, we've got our big strong man and he's fighting all these bad guys. It's very straightforward.
Yeah.
But I believe that this movie it takes that action movie tropes, it gives you that basic plot. It's like guy wants the girl's possessed, and the demons are coming, and there's the prophecy that's getting fulfilled. There's demons and all of that. But what it is too is it's funny, and it's funny throughout. And not every joke I don't feel like works necessarily well here, but it did then.
Yeah.
And those jokes sold that movie, made that movie $1 billion, roughly, or not an exact $1 billion, but a theoretical $1 billion. And then the studios saw that, we're like, we need action movies to have this now, because they were getting stale. So I feel like a lot of them have to be. I mean, we see it, Guardians of the Galaxy nowadays. One of the biggest industries we have is just like funnier action movies.
I agree. I like the point that you made about the hero in Ghostbusters. For that time especially, he probably wasn't a conventional hero.
No.
And I like the trend that he set in terms of having a leading man in a movie that maybe is a little more action-packed, but is funny, and he has more depth to him.
Yeah, it's like if you took a character from Animal House with Harold Ramis in mind, and you took like someone from that fraternity house and made them your action movie hero. It's like, they're kind of a sleazeball, They're trying to sleep with the college girl, and they're trying to get in with the customer and all of that. But he has like. He doesn't have bad intentions per se, but it's sort of that he's not a perfect individual. Or
I think that brings a sense of realism to it as well, because most people in day-to-day, we're all human. We all do things we're not exactly proud of. We make mistakes, but we ourselves can still persevere and do the right thing and stand up for what we think is a good cause.
Yeah, and just as far as like appearance and physical goes, like you said, back then the guys were all buff. You think of those 70s, 80s movies. They're all buff. They're big. They're in action films and stuff.
And you see Bill Murray.
Yeah,
he's
and then
like
you see
balding, and Dan Aykroyd's balding.
Yeah,
too.
I mean, you're seeing all these regular guys, and it's just kind of like, and I think that just adds to the comedies too, because it's like, it's not you can be a regular guy and still be a hero. You know what I mean? And they just, you're right. It just made it funny, and I think they played this role and they played it well. And I don't think that they thought it was going to be a legacy film.
Oh no!
I feel like this really took on something, and it really just became a legacy film. And as we can see now, I mean, they're still making Ghostbuster movies. Bill Murray is still showing up. And
if there's a steady paycheck involved, I consider myself.
I agree.
The franchise still lives on, and there are other movies that pay homage to it in a way and show respect for what the legacy they have left behind.
Okay.
Yeah.
But how would you guys rate this on a scale of 1 to 10?
I give this more of a 9, maybe 8.5. I like this movie. It was a movie that I hadn't seen since I was a kid, but you hear like the jokes and all of that from there. You go on the social medias, there's like memes of it and stuff. So it's like I knew all the jokes before I watched the movie again in my adulthood, and I feel like that kind of took a little bit back from me. I wish I had kind of had those jokes a little more fresh, but I think the movie is still a very solid comedy and action film, and I wouldn't mind watching this again myself.
I would give it a solid 8.5. 8.5, yeah.
Yeah.
I'd give it an 8.5, just because back then I probably would have gave it like a 10, but now that I'm older,
Now that we've seen movies like Avatar, the
yeah,
effects
Exactly.
No, but I mean the writing, the acting, it's solid. It's definitely a good family film, and yeah, I'd give it an 8.5.
Yeah, for me, definitely for everything they did at that time, and so many years later, it being just still so popular, I would give it a solid 8. I think Bill Murray, as we mentioned, great comedic actor, and I really liked what he did with the role and with that franchise.
Yeah.
But let's move on to Mo's movie.
All right. The movie I'll be talking about is Joanna Man. It came out in 2002, and this movie stars Miguel A. Nunez Jr., Vivica A. Fox, and Tommy Davidson. Let's watch the trailer.
Jamal Jeffries is suspended indefinitely.
Jamal, I'm leaving.
What about all the good loving you was getting up in here?
I packed it.
Nobody wants you, not even the Clippers.
And if he wants to play ball again, he's got only one option: to play as a woman.
I'm here!
Joanna Man.
Joanna Man?
Joanna Man.
Joanna Man.
Yes, Joanna Man.
Whatever.
No one's gonna believe you're a woman. You did. You kind of created me. You're my agent. You're Frankenstein. Somebody kill me!
Man, hot dogs and hamburgers, man. She's all that in a Hot Wheel track.
All right, so I picked Joanna Man. Okay, so when our director here, Clark, asked, okay, what movie are you doing, Mo? I was like, I could not think of anything. But I was actually watching the Elite Eight at B-Dubs and watching basketball. Shout out to Caitlin Clark. And I got to thinking, I was like, maybe I should do a basketball film. And the only thing that I could think of was Joanna Man. And I don't know if you guys have seen this movie, but this movie is about a man who has anger issues, thinks he's the stuff. He's in the NBA. Well, anyways, he gets all rowdy during a game. They kick him out. They suspend him. Well, he goes and he decides to dress up as a woman and join the WNBA alongside these
pretty straightforward.
Yeah, right. Alongside these women, and he's like killing it. And then he realizes, like, okay, you know what? Women are great. This is a real, sport, because he thought, women's sports wasn't, important and stuff. And I don't know. I just felt like this film is hilarious. This film is on par with March Madness,
Yeah.
And I just thought it was hilarious.
It's better than Like Mike.
Yes, I was gonna say Like Mike, and then they were like an orphan child who finds basketball shoes. Yeah, I don't think so. But Joanna Man, it was hilarious, and I feel like the biggest thing that was talked about before we filmed was what would it be like if it probably wouldn't be set so well now.
Yeah.
Just because of, this man's dressing up as a woman, he's kind of misogynistic, the jokes are a lot more crude and a lot more rough around the edges.
Yeah.
So I don't think, for this time being, that it wouldn't fare well now. But back in 2002, it was freaking hilarious. I was like 13 years old, cracking up, that this man dressed up as a woman and was out there playing in the WNBA. Thought it was hilarious. You got Tommy Davidson, which, now he's not in so many roles now. But back then, in the early 2000s, he was in all kinds of stuff, and just a great film, a great film with great black actors. You got Vivica A. Fox in there, and she's freaking hot. So
she is hot.
Yeah,
I can attest.
Yes, so he agrees.
Yeah.
I just
Male review.
Yeah,
Vivica Fox is hot.
To be honest, I feel like if they tried to do this film now, it would definitely be canceled.
Or it would be done completely differently.
Yeah. They would definitely shut this down. We would have somebody yelling about
This movie screams 2002.
It really does.
This movie was made in the perfect time to make a movie like this.
Yes.
This was,
So I definitely enjoyed it, and I thought it was hilarious. Like I'm literally sitting there at the bar, and I'm eating wings. I'm like, what am I gonna do this film off of? And I look up, and then boom! It's like
it just came to you.
It just came to me. Yes. So
love when that happens.
Yeah, if you have not watched this movie, it's hilarious. I don't want to give any spoilers. I'm pretty sure I just did though. But it was a great movie. I enjoyed it. Let's rate it.
Okay, so. For me, I think I'm going to go with a 7.
Yeah.
A 7?
Listen.
You gave this dude like an 8 and you gave your film... Okay.
Listen, no offense to Joanna Man. No offense at all. But you're right.
Wait. Tell me that name isn't funny though.
It is a funny name.
It is funny.
However, like Hugh
tongue.
pointed out, it's a peak 2002 movie.
True.
This is something that I had never watched or never heard of until you mentioned it.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So watching it in 2024, it comes off differently than I'm sure it did in 2002. And I'm just not sure, it's one of those movies that ages as well as maybe the Ghostbusters did or Talladega Nights.
No.
That's why I rated it that way.
Okay. I will give you that. I respect your decision. You're right, peak 2002.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about what it would look like in 2024. Like you guys never seeing it, and then it's in 2024, and you're probably like, "Wow, this is horrible." So Hugh, what do you think of it?
I think I will give this one a 7 as well.
Woo!
I can't put this on par with Ghostbusters, but I can put this above The Ringer, which is almost exactly like this movie. And it feels like The Ringer kind of stole a lot from it, but that's neither here nor there.
Okay. So I will chalk it up to the fact that you guys are younger. You guys probably haven't seen it.
Yeah, I was born in 1998. I can't.
So I was like 12 years old when this movie came out. Okay, so or they're like 13. My bad. But yeah, so I'll chalk it up to you guys just being younger and it just not hitting the same way. Me, on the other hand, I'm going to give this movie a solid 10. Like, I thought it was and it may be the boomer in me or something.
I'm sorry. Talladega Nights didn't get a 10, but this gets a 10.
This movie's hilarious. So why? Yes,
I can't.
I'm giving it a 10, guys.
Nothing else needs to be said after that.
If you ain't first, you're last.
Wow.
I know, right?
I mean, that's true.
Talladega Nights was great. But you gotta think, you're 13 years old watching this movie in the theaters. I mean, that's all I can think of when I go back and watch this movie, and it's hilarious every single time. All right.
Yeah.
Man, well, I mean, I got nothing else to say about that. A 10 out of 10, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're gonna take anything from this episode, like we've said before, shake and bake, baby.
Shake and bake.
Shake and bake, brother.
But thanks again for watching, and make sure to tune in next week for another episode.